Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. So we are in the middle of a heat wave. I hope all of you guys are doing well if you're in the part of the country or the world that has a heat wave right now. But it is 90 something degrees with like a ton of humidity. So it feels like in the hundreds. Today is the last day of our heat wave though. So we are about to get several days of really heavy rain. And so I have some things in the garden that need to come out. Like I have a couple cabbages. Number one, it's way too hot to still have cabbages. And with it being so dry, I've been watering them. But when we get that rain from the storms, it's going to make the cabbages split if I don't get them out of the ground. So I'm going to get at least one, if not two or three cabbages out of the ground, out of the garden bed. And then I'll take you back yesterday. 2 days ago, actually, I harvested the garlic and I have it hanging up in the garage drying. And then today, all of my shallots in one bed have laid down. Shallots are kind of like onions. When they bend over, they're ready to go. So before we get 3 or 4 days of rain, I want to get those out and hung up in the garage to be drying for a couple weeks as well. So today is going to be harvesting shallots, cabbages, and we'll see what else we can get into. I might put up some cages around my determinate tomato plants. I might not. We are going to get, like I said, a storm tonight, and I have my fall tomatoes that do need to go into the garden. They are sitting in pots and they are yellow and struggling. So it would be nice to get them in the ground as well so that they can start thriving. So we're just going to see what we get into. But like I said, today is the last day of the heat wave, so I'm going to take it easy. And if I get too hot, then we'll save some of the stuff for another day. But we definitely need to get the shallots and cabbage. Let's get started. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, this is definitely past time to do our garlic. Multiple dry leaves. More than the 3 or 4. So actually that's not too bad. There's only like 4 or 5 leaves. So we'll go ahead and get this. I'll get it all picked, laid down, and then I'll take it in the garage and we will hang it. It's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Great, actually. So the trick to harvesting garlic, well, really planting garlic, is you take the individual garlic cloves and you separate them and you plant them about 2 weeks before your average last frost date. And so for my area, that is mid-October, maybe early November. You get them in the ground, you cover them with a couple inches of compost, you can mulch if you want to, and then you let them do their thing all winter long. They'll throw up some little green sprouts, little shoots, sometimes in the fall, sometimes in the spring, and then they grow and grow and grow. I do plant the hardneck garlic, so it does not keep for as long as the softneck garlic, and also the softneck garlic you can braid. I've done that in the past, but I like to get the larger cloves because they're easier to peel. So hardneck garlic it is. And then I do like to dehydrate the garlic scapes as well to get garlic powder. But you want to harvest it when you can see about 3 to 4 brown leaves at the bottom. And the reason you want to do this is because that way the papers are still intact that are going to cover the whole head of garlic and the individual cloves. If you let it go too long, the papers will start to split, your garlic cloves will begin to separate, and they won't store for as long. None of that is a huge problem. It can still be used. It can still be edible, obviously. But what I like to do is harvest it, dry it out for about 2 weeks in my garage, maybe 3, on the rack that I have in there. And then I will cut off the roots, cut off the green part, and it'll look just like store-bought garlic. I'll leave that in my pantry, and I'll eat off of it until about October, November. And then I will go ahead and separate all the garlic. I will take the largest cloves and I will plant them again in the ground. And then I will take the smaller cloves, because if you plant a big clove, you get bigger cloves. So the trick is to keep planting your biggest ones and they'll get bigger and bigger. But then I will go ahead and make garlic pucks, garlic oil, infused oil, all the things garlic for us to use for the next year. So it just keeps repeating itself where you harvest it, plant it, use it, And the cycle just keeps repeating. So I love planting garlic. This was definitely the perfect time to get this out of the ground, and we had a really lovely harvest. But there's a lot of weeding that has to be done now that these are out of the ground for sure. And just ignore that potato that I obviously missed last fall, and it has decided to regrow. I'm just going to leave that there. Feel like free potatoes are a good thing. I'm hot, but that's a pretty good haul. I'm going to get the wagon and bring it into the garage to dry. That's pretty great. So the garden is looking pretty happy for the most part. Things are growing, potatoes, and then over here you can see the shallots are all laying down. A lot of weeding to do, but I'm gonna wait till after it rains so that they're easier to pull out. So this last year, I did what I have done in years past, where I planted the Dutch red shallots in the fall, the same time as the garlic. And when you plant them, they multiply similar to the garlic. You get 10. You put one in the ground and you get 10. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. However, I really like the elongated, like banana type shallots. And so they're just easier to peel, but I have not figured out what variety of those I can plant in the ground in the fall and they will multiply like this. So I plant these and they multiply. And then I also start from seed the varieties of shallots that I know are the elongated type, because those are easier for me to peel and I like to use them. So I do grow both kinds, and I've been experimenting with the kind that are elongated, just planting that in the fall and seeing what happens. And essentially it didn't multiply. It just went into the ground and regrew itself, if that makes sense. So I have not figured that part out yet, but I do have the ability to keep trying. So I'm just going to keep trying. But in the meantime, these Dutch red shallots are great for maximizing what you get by planting it something little and getting it times 10. So I'll continue planting these, but I'm also on the hunt for the elongated kind that will do the same growth pattern for me. We still have the ones that I planted from seed in the front of this bed, but the ones that we planted in the fall by putting an actual shallot in the ground, they all times 10. So that's great. We'll get those hung up. I'm going to grab the cabbage on the way while we're out here. So push this wheelbarrow back. I'm going to grab the cabbage since I'm already out here and sweating. Hi, girls. All right, so we have this cabbage right here, and I'm gonna take the covers off and see what we're working with. She looks great. Another small head. This one got a little mushy, so I'm gonna give the whole thing to them. Ooh, okay, it's hot. So I got all the cabbages out of this bed. I planted 4. One of them was great. The other ones were not. But the Brussels sprout looks real good. So leave that cover on there, and I will find something else to put in this open spot. And now we have 2 cabbages and about 200 shallots that we're gonna hang up in the garage. It is very hot. I might wait to put the cages on until I'm not quite so sweaty. But let's go ahead and get these shallots hung up in the garage so they can dry out. So here's what we're working with. I still have last year's or the year before's gourds hanging up. They need cleaned and painted. That's for another day. And we have all of our garlic hanging up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these shallots up here too. I've talked about this before, but I think that onions are amazing. I love the taste of them. I love to cook with them, all the things. But shallots, I think, are just so underrated. If you get these Dutch red shallots, when you plant the actual shallot in the ground in the fall, the same time as your garlic, when you harvest them around the same time as your garlic, they multiplied by 10. They just bunch. And so and they last for like a year in your pantry after they dry out. So I do not like having to peel these little round shallots. They're not the easiest thing to peel. However, what a good amount of bang for your buck, right? Like, this is a sustainable, amazing self-sufficiency type resource. So I love, love, love the fact that we grow shallots. Now, I wish I could get them in the elongated shape to bunch like this, but I haven't figured that out yet. So we got all of those hanging, and then the next evening I was able to come out This is the next day in the evening. I was able to come out and weed during the daytime, and then we went ahead and got these buildable cages around all of our determinate fall tomatoes, and we got all of the fall tomatoes planted in the beds that we pulled out the garlic and the shallots from. So very successful week. All right, we got them all hung up, and I have a little fan. It's not drying them, it's just moving the air. And then I also have fans up at the top of the garage to move the air as well. So I apologize for the mowing. My neighbor is mowing right now, so I apologize for the noise, but the heat advisory is real. I'm sweating through the shirt. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more gardening and chickens and building projects and fun things to do. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.